If you're here, you are in the right place. I know it's called the Engineering Entrepreneurship Series, but whether you got a job, got a company, want a job, faculty, whomever, you're still here in the right place. We'll talk about why. A few minutes about myself. My name is Darryl Fruit, also a proud Aggie alum. Came in 1996, played football in undergrad. We won the championship back then. We got a long history of championships. Graduated in 2000, undergrad bachelor's degree in electrical engineering. Went to Florida after that. After I graduated, moved to Florida. Worked for Motorola, big company. Was designing some police radios, official talk radios, and I saw something that a lot of students probably couldn't even imagine, but it was the first color screen cell phone. So before you had all these iPhones, they had like this pea doodle green screen with like black writing on it, couldn't see anything. So see this color screen phone, it was like a bright into the sky. So I tried to get on that team, they wouldn't let me because I didn't have a master's degree. So I came back to it. Got a master's degree. Dr. Kelly was actually on my advisory panel, my thesis. Graduated with another double degree, master's degree, and moved to DC. So been in DC ever since. Like many people in DC, I worked for a bunch of big government contractors, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, all the big ones. And about 9 years ago, I decided that I wanted to start my own company. And I did, and it went well. Ran it for about 8 years, grew it until I finally sold it a couple months ago. Cool. So I've seen this whole process from engineering student in McNair, just like you, to work for a big company, a couple of big companies, to start my own company, and eventually selling my own company. And that whole process, seen it all. And I still like to say is that I know that it's repeatable. The whole thing is repeatable, and that's why I'm here, to put you on game. Hopefully, you can go and start repeating this thing because it's doable. A lot of big schools don't even have a lot of entrepreneurship energy. Most people just want to get a job. It's fine, but I see that this thing is repeatable. So to do that, I came up with this entrepreneurship series. It's going to be 4 sessions. This is just the introduction. We're going to go through an overview and kind of talk through a few principles and stuff, but we're going to dive deeper into it. We're going to have some panelists, some other successful Aggie entrepreneurs, engineering entrepreneurs, panel of them, so you can kind of talk through every other people's stories. We're going to bring in some experts to talk IP, data rights, and intellectual property, important. Talk capital investment, get money to start a company, which is also important. We're going to do some innovation drills and some drills to spark some innovation. And hopefully in this session, at the end, the final session toward the end of the semester, with all of the information, paperwork, documents, tools, and everything you need to start your own company, if you choose to do so, with support from us and everything. So trying to get this whole energy started and go super nuts and get all that. So you could probably ask, why isn't this part of the School of Business? Entrepreneurship, business, why is it not in business? Typically, engineers and people who come to school for engineering, people who come to school for business.
Interruption for 1 second. Engineering school students typically are taught a lot about the genre of engineering that you're in. You learn all of the X and O's, all of the equations, Laplace, waves, EM waves. But what about the business? What about the money? Shut up, take dynamics, take statics, diff EQ, all of this. And it's like, well, what about that? So I'm here to kind of hopefully change the energy so that you see some other stuff directly for engineering students. Any discipline of engineering as well. You might also ask yourself, well, everybody doesn't want to be an entrepreneur, and that's cool. But even if you don't want to be an entrepreneur, There's another term, and it's called entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship. So entrepreneur is somebody who wants to start their own company. They're gonna make a lot of money. They got all kind of goals and dreams of blowing up and becoming Apple or Amazon or something. An entrepreneur is someone who works for a big company, Apple, Google, whatever, but they still have that same entrepreneur energy that's in a bigger company, which is very important. Entrepreneurship is very important because any for-profit company, I don't care what the for-profit company is, it's all about revenue. You got to make money. Even not-for-profit companies, it's about value. You got to add value. So whether you want to get a job and work for another big company, the fact that you are thinking about bringing in revenue and adding value is going to change how your salary looks. So whether you want to start a business or you just want to work for a company, it is very important that entrepreneurship energy is part of your toolbox, because it's going to affect how much money you make and how you do well in your career. So it's kind of like my overview layout. Show of hands or up nod or give me some indication. Anybody in here have a business already? Anybody want to start a business? Anybody don't care? They just here just to see what's going on? Cool. It doesn't matter. Like I said before, everybody's in the right place. It doesn't matter. So I don't have any slides. This is not a lecture. I would sit down, but then it's not here, so you can't see me well. Interrupt me, ask questions. We're going to talk about this. I'm going to ask you some questions. This is cool, intimate environment. There's no slides. It's just this one graphic. We're going to talk through them. I can talk directly for 45 minutes, but that would be a disaster because then that means y'all going to fall asleep. So we ain't doing that. So there are typically, I'm going to say typically because you can argue semantics, but there's typically two types of businesses that you can start as an engineer. Something that you deliver a product or you deliver a service. They both can be wildly profitable. You can make a lot of money either way, but you typically are going to either, and people will argue whether your service is a product or your product is a service. Forget the semantics, but you can typically have both of those types of businesses. But they all start from an idea, an innovative or creative concept. Most intelligent people don't start a business and then figure out what they want to do. I'm going to start a company. I'm going to name it the best company in the world. What we're going to do is make money. I don't know. We'll figure that out. You start with an idea. And I know there's some good ideas in here. Anybody here that want to start a business already got a good idea? You already got a good idea? You know what you think you want to do? That's fine. That's cool. We're gonna water that and nourish that so that you can flourish with it. But you typically start from an idea. If your product is a service, the business is around a service, there's some different challenges than if you starting a product, building a product. The company that I had was specifically about a service. It was subject matter. I became a subject matter expert. So it was about providing a specific expert service, in my case, to contracting to the federal government. But there's some challenges with that, specific challenges. And I'm just going to read from this and talk about a little bit more from this. But in providing a service, you become an expert. Okay, cool. Who say you're an expert? A lot of people out here that's smart. Who makes you an expert? Who makes you better than everybody else, smarter than everybody else, and all of this? One of the challenges is trying to validate your expertise. To do that, one of the ways you can do that is through lots of bona fides. Like I said, I tried to work on these color screen cell phones, and they laughed at me. It was like, you ain't got a master's degree. You got PhDs on the staff. What are you doing? So I came back to get a master's degree. Building up these building up these certifications to make me appear to be authority. Engineering students, anybody took the FE yet? The fundamentals of engineering exam? Nobody took it? Cool. One of the most authoritative licenses or certifications you can get is a professional engineering license. But you got to take the FE first. When I was in school, I didn't want to take no FE. It's 8-hour class, 8-hour test. What I want to do that for? I don't even want to take exams. At the end, at senior itis, I didn't want to take exams. I want to take what, 8-hour exam. But guess what? I had to take the FE after, when I forgot a lot of stuff. So I had to study, and it took me a year to study to take the FE. After I graduated, you can do it now when a lot of this stuff is fresh on your mind, cool, if you want to. But that's just the predecessor to taking the PE exam, which is way even harder than that, which I also had to study for a year and a half to take the PE. All of this is just to get a bunch of rocks in my pocket. So when somebody said, how you an expert? Who you? How you an expert? I'm like, well, the state of Maryland says that I'm a professional engineer. An accredited, nationally accredited college of engineering says, I got this. And I got a bunch of other certifications, all the Cisco stuff, all kind of wireless certifications. But even then, that's cool. But you're expert, even having all that expertise, you still got to build a customer base, which isn't always easy. Let's just say you configure wireless routers. Not when everybody does say, let me configure wireless router. I'm an expert. I got all this stuff. I'm an expert. I don't need wireless routers. Or I ain't trying to pay you for no wireless routers. Or even if I do the first one for free. Let me see how well it works. Do a few of them for free. My cousin wants you to do one too. So you still got to build up your customer base, which is not intuitive and not an easy thing to do. So you build up your customer base, but then you got to have these contracting relationships. So even if you have a customer and they say they want to work with you, how do they pay you? How do you work on this contractual payment thing? And it's not as straightforward as it might seem. Fight through all these challenges, cool. You got a service and a business that you provide a service for. Of the people who have raised their hands or gave me an up nod or whatever that want to, thinking that they're trying to start a business, is your business in a service capacity? You can give me the same up nod or whatever. Service? 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 Cool. Are you an expert?
No.
You an expert? You an expert? Trying to become an expert?
Or hire an expert.
The expert gonna come and say, well, I gotta put what I'm paying you for. I'm the expert. I start my own company. Okay, cool.
Yes.
What you gonna do when you don't know what the expertise is, but think about it. Expert? Although you're trying to become an expert, because you're not an expert. Trying to become an expert? You got a plan for that? Or you just kind of like, I'm gonna YouTube it? Good. How about you, Chief? Got a plan for it? Cool. It's fine. Wherever you are in your process, we're going to get you where you need to be. So you can be from don't know what you want to do or know exactly what you want to do. We'll get you there. I'm intimately knowledgeable about product as a service, but we're going to have a panel with all types of different experiences. So let's say you got a product. My man, you got a great idea. Valuable. That's the gold nugget. Remember, there's a lot of people that can start. It's easy to start a company, but can you have a good idea? Got a good idea. Great. That's the hardest part, by the way. Having a good idea or becoming an expert. That's the hardest part. Everything else, tons of ways you can do the business stuff. But being smart and having an idea and identifying that idea as something that you can make money on, that's the gold. That's the gold right there. There are tons of people with ideas. My grandfather was probably one of the more industrious. He done wired and rigged up the whole house. He could have made a business. Wasn't thinking about making a business out of it. There's so many people you probably know that got great ideas, and it's like, just gonna sit on it? You do nothing about it? Somebody that can do a service better than anybody else. My aunt makes the best collard greens in the world. Won't sell them. Having something.
Okay, let's say you have a great idea and you're trying to like promote it into a product. How do you go about doing a proof of concept?
Good. I'm about to talk through that. Having an idea, like I said, that's the gold. You got the idea, you're already ahead of the game. Now you need capital because now you got to pay somebody's got to pay for that proof of concept. And the more elaborate your idea, you can do it in your dorm room, you can do it in your garage, cool. You can pay someone to do it in a factory. Getting capital is typically that is one of the more intimidating pieces to starting a business when you have a product. Because you got to, first of all, you got to tell somebody what you want to build.
Right.
There's legal ways to protect you from that. IP, your intellectual property, patents, NDAs, all that. So you got to expose your good idea to some stranger whom you think is going to give you the money that you expect them to give you. And as good as most ideas are, the idea is typically best to the person who came up with it. Not saying, I'm sure you got a great idea, but typically you will think your idea is better than everybody else's idea more than people think that your idea is the best.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But now you got to sell it because you're going to have to come to somebody and get some money for your idea to create a proof of concept. Especially for engineers, that's where they're like, y'all don't even know what I'm talking about. I'm about to build this time warp machine. You can't even understand it. And they're like, yeah, I don't. You ain't get no money. You know what? Why is nobody hearing me?
And now, like, how do you promote your idea without saying too much?
When you say promote it publicly or promote it to people giving you capital?
Like, I've been entering different innovation challenges, but I'm just not trying to say too much. So it could potentially like get taken.
Yep. The first piece that you would probably want to do is start looking at protecting it with some IP protections. Your idea is your intellectual property. There are ways to, of course, you can trademark and patent it. That's a long process. But there are ways that you can protect your intellectual property from the people that you are explaining it to. We're going to have a whole IP patent lawyer come through and explain all of the intricacies of protecting your IP. Okay. We're also going to have somebody come in who's a capital investor too, or has worked with capital investors. But you need capital. And as an engineer, trying to explain to someone how good your idea is to give you money so that you can get it started, a few things happen in that process. You get frustrated because they can't understand your flux capacitor, or you get so desperate and thirsty that they say they want 90% of the cut, and you're like, I don't care, I'll take it. And you can imagine how bad that looks in the long run from you when it's a $2 million project and product, and you got a $1 million product and you get $10,000 from it, and you looking like, yeah. Even after you get your financing, or you get someone to give you capital, invest in your idea. Now you're building this product, and you can't build 1 million of them in your dorm room. You got to figure out somebody to make it in a factory. Or if it's really complex, you might need a lab to create this chemical component to make all these, to make all of these, I don't know, fire retardant systems and whatever. So even after you go through all this stuff, you got the big idea. You think you're about to be rich. You're ready. Oh, this touchscreen, cool. You done soup your stuff up so well that somebody ready to give you money for it. You still ain't got no way of making them. And you still gotta go and convince someone else to build it for you. Because the factory ain't gonna say, yeah, I'm gonna cut on all my lines for your supposedly good idea. Uh-oh, why did I touch it? Yeah, what's up,
so let's say you don't have the money, like you're trying to get the money for patents, but patents cost around $10,000. Now also you gotta get a design patent. So
$10,000?
Oh well, more than that.
Yeah.
So they said that a design patent was the easiest one to
Yep.
get rather than regular patents.
Yep.
But I also, can you tell me a little bit about getting white papers and also the poor man's patent?
Yep.
Because like I'm just trying to find alternate routes so I can have my work like it's my work, but I don't want anybody to take it.
So product patents and idea patents, yeah, they separate, but patenting an idea is easier. It's, how should I say this? It's easier, but more complex. That makes sense?
Yeah.
The paperwork and all of that, yeah, cool. But now the complexity of trying to prove that nobody else has ever come up with this idea.
Right.
And it's not in no other concept ever known to man, only on your piece of paper. A product is less complex, but it's harder. Okay. You take all of your stuff that you put together and you give it to somebody and they take forever and you got to hope that nobody else comes up with this product in the meantime.
Right.
We'll have an attorney come and explain why you should choose one or the other.
Okay.
All right. So you got through all of those things and you got through all of these things. Now you're ready to go ahead and start your company. You can do that anytime in this process. Paperwork of starting a company. How many months? Okay, let me do it this way. If I wanted to start a business right now, who in here believes that it'll take me from 1 day to 1 month? No, it's something. 1 day to 1 month to start a business. 1 month to start a business. 1 month to 3 months. Over 3 months. What if I tell you it took you 3 hours? Starting a business is paperwork. Literally an hour. You can fill out some paperwork, say, I got the best business LLC.com. LLC, go down to the courthouse or the Department of Business, what is it called? The Secretary of State. Yeah, and register your business in a state. That's the easiest part of all of this. A piece of paper. You are legally an entity in a business, whatever name you want. Don't get caught up in this piece. Get caught up in the idea and the concept, because that's where the gold is. If I can do this, we good. We good money, yes. There is a prevailing opinion, or I don't know where it came from. I think it's mostly from hubris, but does it make sense to start a business making $50,000 a year when you can get a job making $51,000 a year? When you start that business, let me go back. So it makes more sense to maybe lose money in the short term and gain a lot of money in the long term for starting a business. What if you were breaking even with a business forever, or getting some incremental amount, and you could have a job that pays you more? What I'm trying to get at is people think that the idea of saying I work for myself, I got my own business, I got my own, is the point. That ain't the point. The point is to make more money than someone else will pay you. So having a business and you are scrambling in debt, or you trying to make ends meet, or you are breaking even, when you just go work for a company, you hustling backwards, unless your business has the opportunity to blow. But if you're providing a service, configuring Wi-Fi routers and doing the configuration of wireless routers only pays you $35,000 a year, and that's all you can do, but you can go and work for a company that fixes wireless routers for $50,000 a year, that makes sense. But I bet you someone is going to do the wireless router company and say, I got my own company. I got my own, I do my own, I make my own hours. When you have a company, do you make your own hours? Yes, if you think you make your own hours, give me a little up nod. If you think you don't make your own hours, give me an up nod. You always got customers. I don't care what business you got. Name a business. Chick-fil-A. They ain't closed on Sunday. I mean, they close on Sunday. But what if they ain't morning people and you want your breakfast biscuit? You 7:30. With my chicken bricks, my chicken and egg biscuit. The person that owns that Chick-fil-A is like, I don't get up in the morning. You ain't got no business then, bro. You ain't got no business. So you never make your own. Now, you never control as much as you think you do. Your customers really control it. So you got a company that makes, I don't know. The idea is the hardest one. So all these anecdotes are just random. But if you got a company providing a service that does anything, but you only do it on weekends and people need it during the week, what you doing? I want to make sure that you don't get caught up in the ego side of I got my own company, unless it's just for a tax shelter. That's cool. But running here saying I want my own company, even if I can get a job that pays me more in the long run, is not the impetus. The impetus would take that energy of being an entrepreneur and applying it to entrepreneurship and being the whatever you can be at that company and making a big salary because you was hustling backwards and you was breaking even on your company and you wasn't making any money. Unless your company can blow. But you got to have a plan and a strategy for that. All right, so back to providing a service. Typically, companies that provide a service are very niche based. You don't typically start a company that, this was the craze a couple years ago. Everybody in a mall kiosk fixed iPhone screens. How good would a company right now that fixed iPhone screens do? Everybody started a company fixing iPhone screens 3-4 years ago. Had mall kiosks and everything. That ain't a niche. It was at the beginning, but it ain't now. You can get an online kit and do it right now yourself. Find you a niche and evolve in that niche. Run your lane. Don't swerve. Don't do anything. Run in your lane. Providing a service. You an E-man? What's your computer engineer? You in this?
Yes.
IEEE. In providing a service, it would behoove you to get around people of like culture in terms of professional understanding of your technology or your service, your area, in your. You learn a lot from that way. Nesby is a turn up. I know. I've been to National a couple times. That's a part of it. Cool. But there's a networking piece of it. And I don't mean walking up to everybody telling them who you are and what you do, but you learn things from osmosis of being around professional organizations that know some of the things that you know, that you can get to your expertise better. You know that, oh, wow, everybody in this electronics lab is knowing how to fix iPhone screens. Here I was at the house thinking I was about to make me a business building iPhone screen. I was about to put $10,000 into building fixing iPhone screens. Then you go to the meeting, you realize, oh, everybody doing this. Or you realize that everybody in the meeting got a cracked iPhone screen. Here's my lane. That's very important because a lot of people live in their own intelligence bubble. They in their garage, they done coded up something. They think it's the best thing ever. They imagining it blowing, and then they go outside, they look at their neighbor, like, how in the hell he built the same thing I built? Like, you got to get outside of your own personal intelligence bubble and see other things. All right. So build a product or service. building providing a product. Almost everybody in here, I'm gonna say everybody in the College of Engineering is gonna have a head start on this. Because everybody, I think this is true. Everybody does a senior design project, right, Dr. Kelly?
Yeah.
Everybody does a senior design project. It would be a shame if you didn't take whatever you was doing for your senior design project and thinking about it as a way to make money off of it. Right? There's been millions of senior design projects come through. How many of them people try to think of sell? Or how many of them do people say, will it help me graduate? What I got to do to graduate? The minimum amount I got to do to graduate. Can I fake it during the demo and then graduate? You spend all this energy for 2 semesters when you could be using that same idea. You got to have that idea, and there's got to be something to make some money off of it, or at least applying some energy to it to think about it. I did the senior design project in 2000. I wasn't thinking nothing about it after I finished it. After we did the demo, it was like, cool, I'm walking, I'm good. I'm walking across the stage, graduating, and going to get my job at Motorola. You know what my senior design project was? It wound up being wireless speakers. Anybody ever heard of Sonos? Yes. What if I would have been thinking about being Sonos sitting here where you at? Sonos what? I mean, $5 billion. I got 5 Sonos speakers at my house. Could have been my senior design project. Yeah, anybody hear about AirPlay? All of that. It's like, take your senior design project seriously, and you can make some money off of it. Even if it's just a trial for you. Because you do have to expose it, and it's going to be hard to get your IP rights and everything. But even if you got a great idea, you know exactly what you want to do and all of that. You use your senior design project as a trial. Play the game off of that. Learn all your errors and all your mistakes with that. Man, we talking about products. Thinking about a company, have a company, want a company. You. No, man, right behind you. Yeah, you.
I don't necessarily.
There's no wrong answer. Have you thought about being an entrepreneur?
No.
Cool. Are you familiar with a term called entrepreneurship?
Yeah.
Really?
Familiar.
Cool. I'm not going to ask you what it is. I'm not going to put you on the spot. I'm going to tell you what it is to reinforce what you know. An entrepreneur is a person who works for a big company. They don't want to start their own company. There's a lot of risk that comes with that. They don't want to start their own company. They would rather work for a bigger company. Cool. But they're thinking about their job at that bigger company with the same entrepreneur energy. So that big company trying to help that big company make money or provide value, whether it's a for-profit or not-for-profit company. So they've got all of the energy of an entrepreneur, but they got a steady, comfortable paycheck. And they don't have to take a lot of financial risks that come with it. Entrepreneurship. You can imagine how important that is to think like an entrepreneur when you're going to whatever company you're going to go to, because you're going to be out there, everybody's going to be on their keyboards, and you're going to come up with a good idea. You're going to be like, could start a company, or I could just this company do it here. And next thing you know, you promote it, and you done added so much value to a company. You're going to make the same money from the salary that you could have just started a company. All right, senior design project. I don't want to talk your head off too much about it, but I can't stress that enough. I missed my blessing. I got it back though, but I ain't get Sonos money. There's another piece in this product stuff, mostly for comp sci, EE, computer engineering, all that, even ME. Most products that you create are going to have a software component. And if you can't write software, you're going to pay somebody to write your software. And guess what they're going to do? take your idea and go right and do whatever they want to do with it. Learning to write software is probably one of the best fundamental pieces of advice that I've given to younger engineers. Learn to write software. What software? I don't know. Start somewhere. I know you're going to learn Java, C++, or something, but you're just doing that to pass the class. I'm talking about learn something. Not can I get an A or at least a passing grade on this test or this class. Learn something. The quickest, easiest one to learn is Python. Anybody heard of Python? Heard of it? What's your major? Yeah.
Electrical and computer.
Cool. Heard of Python. What year are you? Oh, freshman? Good. You hear more about it. I'm glad you're here though. You're thinking about this early. You got 3 years to think about a senior design project and that could be the next Sonos. Back in the day, C++ and C was the best. C is probably the best language you can learn, but it's one of the more complex languages and it takes a lot more effort and time. Python is probably one of the easiest languages you can learn, but it's not as powerful. But knowing Python allows you to learn C a lot easier. Java was a big wave back in a while ago, but learn some computer language, please. Please do it for me. Do it for me, please. It's invaluable. Both from yes, you can use it in creating a product or providing a service, but the thought process and the skills to approach writing a software program algorithmically helps you in a lot of other second order ways that you really can't explain to you how. But it's a very valuable skill. So learn something. And I don't mean learning just enough to pass the lab and learn something for real. I'll tell you, if you don't learn it in school right now, you're going to wish you did and have to learn it later. I ain't going to argue with you about taking the FE. I ain't going to try to tell you to do it, but I'm telling you to do it. What's something?
So I just want to add to what you're saying real quick.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went to college, I went to Florida State University Media Production, one of the top media production schools in the country. Actually ranked higher at certain points than USC and UCLA out there in Hollywood. And I did 16 credit hours of the same course, which was filming on the court, on the field. I was having the time of my life, filming football, all this kind of stuff. Got my degree. You know what I didn't have? Education in graphic design and all these other kind of programs that were offered to me at no extra cost to my tuition.
Yep.
Because I was having so much fun doing the same course over and over and over again.
Yep.
And had that oh crap moment when I graduated. Happy where I ended up.
You would have to pay somebody. You would have to pay somebody to teach you all the other stuff, right?
Oh, I'm looking into it. It's a lot of money now. Couple grand for what I want for each one. So
I can't tell you to take. I can't make you learn software, a software language, or software skill, but I'm begging you to do it. I want to see y'all shine. I want to see y'all flourish. I want to see y'all guap up. It's very possible. It's not like I'm telling you to go to WNBA or go to the NFL. You can control this with your aptitude and faculties that you have right now that you got. You don't need to do one more push-up. You don't need to do no squats. You can hustle on this in your classes and then this in your field and get. Has there ever been an athlete alive to make more money than Bill Gates? Exactly. He's a outlier because he was already rich. But anyway, all right. I've talked through most of everything on here, and y'all ain't asked no questions. You did, but I'm sure you got to be thinking about something. What's up?
So if you have, I guess, you want to do a product, but you also need expertise,
Mm-hmm.
you need a PhD.
Mm-hmm.
Is that then a service and a product combined because you have to have the expertise to make it, per se?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's a service. So you have something you want to make.
Right.
You can pay somebody to make it, pay somebody to learn how to make this thing, or you can figure out how to make it and then start from there. So you can either make it, I don't know what your thing is, but I'm going to say, because you're saying a service. So let me try to make up something anecdotally.
It has to do with artificial organs. So that's my interest. But I know I have to probably get a PhD to really like optimize that niche per se. So and you're saying like I have to pay someone, I don't have the means to do so. Okay.
So pay someone. So I'm gonna back this up. Let me back up to the first piece of that. You got an idea. I'm gonna make something up. I ain't saying it's your idea, but you could have an idea that you're gonna sit outside the bar and everybody that's super drunk when they come out, you're gonna offer them a new liver. And that's a great idea because a lot of people will take that new liver and say, I'm starting over from scratch. I ain't gotta go and lay in that bed with the ceiling spinning tonight. They will take that new liver. Yeah, you're gonna have to learn how to replace somebody's liver on the spot. And that might take a PhD. You might have to replace people's liver on the spot. That's going to take a whole lot of other stuff as well. The idea and concept is cool, but again, that's the other type of patent that is easy but very hard. I mean, it's complex but very hard. It's simple but very hard. It's a simple concept. I'm gonna replace everybody who get drunk and give them a new liver. How you do that? Real simple. How you do that? So yeah, you won't have to get on your grind and figure it out. There's no shortcut to it. Yes.
So you talk about we're here today and one day we'll have the $1 million idea or product. Are there baby steps that we can do to get to that place?
Yes. The first thing is realizing that you see value in this. There's a lot of people that don't even get to the place where they see value in a concept. They had a good idea, so what? I want to get through school so I can get to this job. I know I sat in these chairs right here and I was trying to get to my job at Motorola and it paid me good. But just knowing that, and I wasn't even thinking go to Motorola with this entrepreneurship stuff. I ain't know nothing about it. I'm just going to work on this project and just try to make some money. Finding out first that concepts are valuable and the idea of providing value to a company to get either more revenue or having a better value in their service. Just having that first in your mind is a step initially that a lot of places ain't gonna give you. There's a lot of big, very reputable schools. Take out Cal Berkeley, take out MIT, Stanford maybe. There's a lot of other big schools with people just talking about going to work at Google, going to work at Apple, just to get unlimited snacks and stuff. But got all the ideas that Google got, that Google is releasing. So just thinking about it that way differently is the first big step of value. Because now you're going to have all those ideas. You're going to be in the crib. Best ones is in the shower. You're going to be in the shower. You're going to be like, oh, watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to kill him. I'm going to kill him. I'm going to kill him. Instead of just thinking about the idea, oh, that would be cool. I think I'm going to buy one at Best Buy one day. No. You're going to sell one at Best Buy one day. It's going to be hopefully your new thought. What's up, man?
So how do you determine whether or not your service or your product is going to be profitable?
Great question.
From from a conception.
Yep. As a part of this series, we're going to talk about business plans. Because you're right, you can have the best idea in the world, but if you can't make no money off of it, what good is it? If you could build this, if you can build an iPhone screen remover and replace your thing, but it costs more than an iPhone, what you doing, right? One of the things to do is you got to do a business plan. We're going to have a session where we talk specifically about business planning, but there's a specific method that you go through to determine the value of an idea, the value of a product, and the value of a service. You got to do market research, and it's a whole thing. But yes, that is important, is valuing your idea from a market perspective.
And okay.
No, what you doing?
So I was just going to say, like, in terms of not prototype, but like, you know how like testing phase, do you include that in your business plan?
Yes, you got it. If you're creating a product, yes, you have to. Because it's part of it's called non-recurring engineering, NRE. It's part of the NRE in designing a product. There's an iPhone that's coming out in September. Y'all know it is because it won't come out every September. Do you think they're still working on that iPhone right now? Designing it right now? No. They working on one for 2021 right now. Do you know how many hours that they put into designing and testing and fabricating and creating an iPhone? They probably put $1 billion of non-recurring engineering. It's called NRE. Meaning you do it one time and you don't get nothing for it. You got to build it into the cost of the product. So you pay $1,000 for an iPhone, you're paying $5 of all the time it took to test it. You got a question, Chief?
Yeah. So you said starting a business is easy. It's basically just paperwork.
Yep.
Is there like any caveats to like maintaining it?
It's cheap too. It's not just easy, it's cheap. Ooh, it might be $35 or less. I wish I could. Yeah. It's cheap, stupid cheap. And maintaining it is stupid cheap. Just on paper. But if you got a business that's building tractors, you got to buy tractor engines. It ain't cheap maintaining tractor engines, but just to have a business on paper, that's the easy part. The paperwork right here, the stage of saying, I have iPhone protector screen builder LLC. Easy. You can do that in 25 minutes. Figuring out that it's profitable, finding a customer base, and getting paid for it. That's where the piece comes in.
$89.
With $89.
Fully, everything.
$100.
Everything.
More question? What's up, Chief?
I want to try to think about framing it. Success is not, like an overnight thing. And as you were sharing with us about using, say, your senior project or your ideas, there could be some time in between that idea and the moment it pops.
Yep.
I thought about my senior project when you gave your example and how passionate I was at the time.
Yeah.
And even after we did our demo, our group wanted to do more with it. And then finals came and we graduated Saturday and that was it. And you think about the time in between, have these dreams, what advice do you have for, regardless of the age or level in the room, of when you get the dream to be able to maintain what's necessary to bring the dream into reality, even if it takes a longer amount of time than what you would.
Yep. It's a concept, it's perseverance. So the richest people that make all these companies and stuff, they ain't the smartest people. Y'all know that. Y'all know it. the richest people in this world ain't the smartest people in the world. Even taking out, normalizing it for all the head start they might have gotten, or whatever kind of privilege they've gotten. There's so many people with great ideas that don't persevere. Do you know how many? Somebody probably created time travel and fell asleep and took a nap, and I mean like a figurative nap, and just said, I'm gonna go do something else. Yes, perseverance is, anecdotally, I'll give you my perspective. I was nervous about starting my own company. So I but I was talking to another dude about it. He was like, yeah, let's do it together. Let's do it together. Like, yes. Got a partner. 6 months in, we probably had 5 meetings. He was not really in the meeting mentally. And about 6 months in, I realized, you know what? I'm gonna do this myself. I hope he never sees this, but I started the company, grew the company, sold the company. I think last year he was telling me he started his company. He took a nap for 9 years. But we started together. He took a nap for 9 years. It ain't that I'm smarter, I'm better, I'm nothing. It's perseverance. I wish I would have. I could have billions of dollars if somebody told me to care about wireless speakers as my design project. I don't know what your senior design project is. Whew. It could be $1 billion. Now, how was I, little old 22-year-old me, trying to ready to get to Motorola? I would have had the great idea, even told people about it, and everybody else was like, "Oh, that's cool. You're gonna walk in December. Cool, you did it. Yeah." I could have started figuring out how to get some capital for it. I could have started figuring out how to produce it. Because guess what the person who developed Sonos did? That and persevered. And I'm in here working for Motorola talking about some color screens. I can't overstate this enough. I know I'm sounding dramatic, but it really is that dramatic. There's people out here getting it. And it could be you. It could be all of you. Not even like a subset of you. It can be everybody in this room. There's no limit to the amount of good ideas there are. So it ain't like, oh, pick 5 people. Y'all gonna make it. Everybody here can make it.
So yes, a little side note, that's why we're doing this. We're doing this because you have each other. Moving forward, you will become that community of innovators and entrepreneurs who bounce off of each other. You could be on the opposite sides of the world and you're going to pick up the phone and say, what's up? This is what I'm thinking about. This is what I'm doing. But also, you don't have to wait to be a senior.
Oh, yeah, I'm saying senior design project, but you can start doing something now. Right? You gotta wait.
And you don't have to pay somebody to make your first prototype. You have a maker space. And you can do all this stuff free and you retain all your intellectual property rights. So the university is not gonna come for their cut just because you built it in the College of Engineering Management. Again, that's like you can learn how to use all the graphics design programs while you're paying tuition, or you can pay 10 times that much to take it as a class. So this is just the beginning, and I hope that all of you continue to make this your series. So if there's something that you're not hearing or not seeing or not getting, tell us, And we will make sure that that becomes part of what we do with you. So that when you leave here, you can look back and say, I left this place better and better prepared to be engaged in entrepreneurship. And that was the motivation.
That is this.
For Mr. Blue to start this.
This is, I want to see everybody in here win. Do you know how proud I would be if one of y'all became a billionaire, created Sonos or something? Like, y'all got ideas. I already know it. I mean, it ain't that I know y'all got ideas. It's like, I want to see you make them shine. I don't want none of your billion either. You can keep it all to yourself. I don't want nothing. I don't want anything for this. I'm doing this all for free. I'm good. I'm going to get me. I want you to get you. What's up?
So just for further clarification, you can create a product here at ANC and they won't want anything to do with it.
Correct.
Okay.
They won't have claims against your intellectual property. Okay. That's different than they want anything to do with it. They're gonna call you and talk to you about endowing a chair and building. They're gonna ask you.
Oh, you gonna leave and get $1 billion and think you don't get nothing, man? Man, get out here right now. We don't care if you're self.
But yes, that is because they realize how important it is in the long run for the university to be that kind of university.
You should be trying to change the energy. For decades, everybody left here, did a senior design project, left here, had great ideas in the shower, in Cooper Hall, in Scott Hall. You know what I mean? Great ideas within them showers, and they went nowhere. We trying to give the energy is like, no, the ideas are going somewhere big, and not attributed to A&T, but attributed to you. You get all the shine. Because once you get your shine, you're going to show love anyway. Anybody asked me to do this, I did this on my own. Because I was like, oh, everybody can do this. What's up, G?
Why'd you say you?
Good question.
That's the good one.
Great question.
Why? Make him guess first.
Take a guess.
Got another idea?
I do have other ideas, but every company, every for-profit company is made to sell. Whether you buying stock in that company, you selling that, that's the company is selling a little piece of that company to you, or they have dreams of being acquired by another bigger company. I got to my place and I was like, it's been 8 years. I had a good run. And it was time for me because most of my wealth as a person was tied up in my company, which means that the company is worth X, but I'm not. So I wanted to, as most of us in this room aren't generationally wealthy and endowed, I had to protect my wealth for my family and my generation. And the only way I could do that was to sell it, cash out, so to speak. And now I actually work for the company so my company, my engineering company is an engineering division of this other company. It's called ATS, of another company. That's the only way I had to cash out.
So now you got money from them for the company, and then you're also here to protect.
Yeah, I'm an employee. I am an employee. But selling a company isn't as straightforward as you think. I'm gonna give you a point. Case in point. Y'all asking me all these questions that I know the right answers because I lived this. 2 years ago, this graphic right here is 2 years old. Took the incel off, but 2 years old. I gave the same during E-Week 2 years ago, the same talk. It wasn't this passionate because I hadn't sold my company yet. I was talking all of this, and then I wanted to do this often, every semester, but I left for 2 years to not do this, to work on selling my company. I thought I was going to sell my company in 2 months. It took me 2 years. But now I know the entire process, and I know it's real. So selling a company ain't as easy. Selling your idea isn't as easy. as you think. What question? Yes, ma'am.
Is there anything different that you would do now that you like look back on it, reflect on it?
Yeah.
The ideas of it.
It's stressful. It is very stressful. And I wasn't prepared for the amount of stress. And I probably worked too hard. I know that's gonna sound kind of crazy, but there's a point of diminishing returns into working hard, right? Sleep is more important than working, right? Sleep is more important than being awake. You die if you don't sleep. I don't think I did enough self-care through the stress of working extremely hard through that process. I think I would have leveled out the stress a little bit better. I know that's very abstract. I can't tell you exactly what to do about that, but keep your perspective through the process, because you can get blinders on, get in your lane, and start running, and you don't think about nothing else. It's all about this. But you are still on a rock, rotating around the sun in a universe that is billions of light years wide. So that little lane you in ain't as big and as important as you think it is. Still, you gotta come up and breathe and take care of yourself.
So was the conversation more like you selling your value to the company, or was it they saw the value and you're like negotiating?
Both.
Appropriate.
Both. I probably talked I can't tell you how many handshake dinners I had thinking I was like, they get it. They love me. Never got an email, never got a call. But once you get the symbiotic piece to where they see the value and you know and convince them of your value and your worth, then it's negotiation.
So was this 2 years like with one party, or were you trying to find a home for it?
I went through probably, I can't tell you how many initial meetings I had. I had so many. The company that bought my company, we got all the way down to almost to the, I thought was the wire. I didn't know it was 15 steps. Sometimes you don't know what you don't know. You think you're on step 10 and there's only 11 steps. And you didn't know there was 59 steps. So I'm on 10 thinking that I'm going to just get to 11. They fired their CFO or something, but they had some turmoil. I ain't hear nothing for 4 months. Can you imagine? For 4 months? You out here thinking you about to sell your company. You think you about to sell your company, and y'all get to the place where you think you about to do it, and they go silent for 4 months? Kill everybody. They're punching all the air. But it wound up working out, and it was a mutual, it was an amiable acquisition. So it wasn't like I beat them and they ain't beat me. It's cool. What questions? We still got time. Yes, sir.
So you said that mechanical engineering, they use software. Like, I want some architecture. So,
Yes.
like, when I still me doing software too.
Absolutely. Remember I was telling you, there's two pieces to it. There is the mechanics of knowing the language. And then there is the exercise that your brain goes through in learning the language that allows you to think about something architectural different than you ever thought about before. So is the skill of, yes, I can do this thing now. I can write Java now. Great. And then there's because I've learned Java, oh, this building is about to look sweet in a different way. It's exercise too. That's why I say learn it. Don't just take a class, pass the class with a B, cheering everybody paper and whatever. Cool. You got the language that you said you did, but learning it is a thing. Yes.
Can you reiterate the value of selling your company versus, I guess, growing?
I could have continued growing my company. I could have gotten big enough to buy the company that bought my company. But that would have been more years of risk, more years of stress. You see how stress-free I feel up here right now? It's so much better. 2 years ago, I was a lot more stressed because I'm like, any catastrophic event and I could lose it all. Imagine for 8 years, all of your wealth is tied into something that you can lose in a day. Whew. And you got to keep getting better every day or else you'll lose it. That's what I was in. So it was like, at one point I was like, no, done, I'm good. So that's why I said it. Oh, in the back.
Your thoughts. You were talking about how you have to work in the company so much.
Mm-hmm.
What are your, is it true that it's constant? You never really get the chance to have downtime in terms of thinking about where you want to take your company when you are an entrepreneur?
That was one of my biggest problems. Was that you should always have downtime. You will have a to-do list that will never get done. Everybody gonna die with something to do. Thinking that there's a destination of a free to-do list is a farce. It's a farcical concept. You're gonna always have more things to do. So what I wish I would have done, or I would have do it differently, I don't wish I would have changed, I ain't got no regrets, but what I would do differently, again, is not look at trying to do everything all the time, all at once. And I don't mean even paying people to do it, just not thinking about it as everything has to get done all the time. Because every time you get something done, you gotta do something else. And leveling that out and feeling a little bit more comfortable during the process. I didn't enjoy the process as much as I should have. And looking back, it's like, so many times I could have enjoyed it. So many times I could have done stuff a little different, but I didn't. And it is what it is now, but yes. You had a question?
Yeah, so like you mentioned that you dealt with the stress like before you sold your company during those 8 years, that making sure that your ideas stay afloat, because like business is something that turns over very quickly and moves very fast. So how did you keep like your idea innovative and fresh and valuable?
I'm gonna give you my secret. And I don't care if you take this secret and go and do another company, but this was my secret. My company, my expertise was in wireless and cellular communication. I ain't the best person that ever did something wireless and cellular communication. Most people who did thought that they could do it better than me for a lot of reasons. Visual, you can see. That's fine. They all reverberated in their same space of wireless engineers in the DC area. I started going to conferences overseas and learning things that they weren't learning and bringing it back to my customers and having different ideas and innovating in different ways from different places, from technology they ain't ever seen before. That was my trick. My trick was, y'all don't want to pay for this $10,000 flight to go to Singapore. I will, and I will learn from it. Y'all looking at it as, that's too much to pay. I'm looking at it as, gotcha. And I'm in Singapore. So I done been all over the world, literally all over the world. 50 laps around the globe, learning stuff to innovate. Cost a lot of money. I made it all back. A lot of people are still reverberating in it. This was my secret. This doesn't apply to everything, but my secret was, ha, 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 ha. Y'all can go to all the meetings in DC. Ha, 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 ha. I'm going to come back with stuff from Singapore. I'm going to come back with stuff from Germany, stuff from somewhere else. And then I'm going to tell the customer this thing. And they're going to be like, wow, that was awesome. Why y'all ain't figure this out? That was my secret. That was my bright idea. The idea was, I was a subject matter expert, but my way to continue running in my lane and innovating was, I'm going to find other ideas, find out better stuff, because I didn't limit myself to the same pool that everybody else was in. And it worked.
When we go back on like learning the software, so
Yes.
I'm creating a plan of action for autonomous cars and also like traffic generation.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to know, like I'm a civil engineering student, so I have no idea how to code.
Mhm.
But I've been using like applications such as Figma Design or Swift.
Uh-huh.
So how long does it generally take to learn how to write software?
Mm-hmm. It is, so it depends. It is a self-paced thing.
Okay.
You can teach yourself in months, but it depends on how much time you put in. It's not the 10,000 hour rule, but it's some number of hours it takes for everyone to learn a software language. I don't know what that number is, but as soon as you get to that number, whether you get to it in a week or you get to it in a year, you get to that number and you are good. I don't know what that number is, but you can flex to get to that number however you want.
Okay.
You had a question?
Yeah, so I know that you said that you had, for your company that you sold, that you had all your money like kind of like tied up into that one spot, one place. What are some of the things that you're doing differently now to make sure like that doesn't happen again?
So my product, I had a product of a service. How do I say this? The value, so if you have a company, the value of the company, how can I explain this? Let me see. All right. Let's say you had a company configuring wireless routers, right? And you had 10 people configuring wireless routers, and they each could bring in $100,000 of revenue a year. So now you have $1 million a year company. How do you take $1 million? You can't take $1 million from that company because you got all the stuff that you need to do to run that company. So while your company revenue is $1 million, your profit isn't $1 million, and your company might be worth somewhere of $1 million. It's not $1 million cash. It's not a liquidable thing. But if somebody comes by and says, wow, I'll pay you $1 million for that company, give me my $1 million. I now have it. That's the separation of the difference. So you could run this $1 million company forever. And you have $1 million company, but it ain't your $1 million. It's just a company $1 million until you sell it to someone. Then you are able to recoup your $1 million.
I wanted to just let everyone know that we have a reception where you can continue to engage with Mr. Clue and ask questions, but also get a little snack before you go back to your evening of studying and other work. So at this time, if you wouldn't mind, let's thank him for his time. And his
Hold on, I want to take a picture. I want to see how many people is here. It's all love. I'm here for the love.
So, faculty lounge and
Oh, sorry.
but yeah, thank you.
Yes, sorry.
So on every other aisle, there's a sheet with a QR code. So just take your phone and do the QR code thing. And if you don't have the ability to do QR code, the web link is on there and you can just do that. So take your smartphone and do that. It's really important.
Very important. So
that this series is your series. And the only way we know how to make it your series is by looking at your feedback. Get it? That's the